You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black. You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, streaming live thanks to Ahmed Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, This Week. Featuring news and commentary on This Week in Black Hollywood. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live This Week, Daryl Kristen.
You can do it.
You do it. Hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching Black Hollywood Live This Week. I'm your host, Daryl Kristen, and it is a fun-filled week that we have had. But I have two beautiful people with me today. Courtney Stewart is one of them.
We're beautiful. Hello.
That's
hello,
right. You like that,
hello.
right?
We try.
You try, right?
She tries.
And DJ Jesse J.
What's up?
We got a lot of topics we're going to cover today, including Amber Rose has a slut walk video. Gabrielle Union talks about her fertility struggles. Actor Matt Damon's catching a lot of slack over his diversity comments. And I Stand With Ahmed campaign is gaining a lot of momentum.
Mm-hmm. And if you're wondering why we have AfterBuzz behind us, because we want you to know that this is our sister site, AfterBuzz, and we is about to move into a new studio. Moving on up to the east side.
East side. It is the east side.
It is. It is the east side,
We
yeah.
finally getting a piece of the pie, y'all.
It's going to be an exciting new studio.
Hey.
Yeah. So, Jesse, I know you got the results from last week's Buzzer Meter question.
We don't have results from last week.
Or maybe you don't have the results from last week's Buzzer Meter
Well, we
question.
do
Guess you
have a
didn't
new
take
one.
the that note that I gave you
You didn't
before
take
we
that
went on
note.
camera. That's
He
fine.
forgot.
But what was the new Buzz Meter
The
question?
new buzzer meter question is, guys, do you think the authorities handled Ahmed properly over in Texas? I stand with Ahmed. We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about that, but first we're going to talk about trending topics with DJ Jesse J.
Honey, well, what was been trending
What's
was,
trending?
well, you might have been online earlier this week, or maybe you watched the MTV Awards and seen something about this, but maybe you saw this promo from Amber Rose. It kind of went like this.
I respect that you enjoyed yourself last night. I think we can all agree. Having sex is fun.
Oh, yes, it is.
Mommy, did that woman get fucked last night?
It seems as if she did. Oh, hell yeah.
So, this commercial promoting Amber Rose's slut walk, or as they're kind of trying to reframe the word, walk of shame, of no shame.
Right.
Amber Rose and the Amber Rose Foundation are working together to do a slut walk. Now, a slut walk is something that has been done before. There's the DC slut walk. And basically, it started to promote. I mean, we've always kind of talked about rape cases where they say, where some situations say, well, it's the woman's fault because she shouldn't have been dressed like that because it's asking to get raped, which is crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
And that's kind of where it stems from. So as I was like looking up different slut walks and whatnot, that's what a lot of people were promoting. It mostly had to do a lot about rape. This is a little different. Now, Amber Rose is promoting the slut walk because she herself gets a lot of hate. If you saw at the MTV Awards, I think we spoke about it. Her and Black China came dressed up with graffiti-like outfits with words like whore, bitch, slut, cunt, and then had two gay men with them who had faggot, homo, queer, and a whole bunch of different derogatory words on them. So, the video came out. Did you guys get to see the video?
I did.
I did.
What were your thoughts on it?
It's great.
Entertaining. But I also... here's the thing. I feel like taking her serious with this is sort of hard for me because I feel like everything she does is so calculated with the media. So it lessens the message that she's sending out for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea that we know she has the reality show on the Furnace right now that's supposed to be on MTV, like, it makes me think that she's just continuing to do things to remain relevant. But is the message something that needs to be talked about and shared? Yes.
And the word
Do
is-
I get that from Amber Rose?
Right, like I just...
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I get it. I'm sure everyone calls her a whore. Now, do I personally think that she might be one? I don't I don't really know. I would like to think that she isn't, you know. However, I'm sure she gets a lot of words and things like that.
I mean, if she's a
thrown at
whore,
her.
that's her prerogative. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
So, I mean, in theory, like, I guess it's really weird because she should be sort of the poster child of this because slut shaming and all of that is something that she definitely has dealt with, and for some would say good reason, others would say not, but the idea that she should be slut shamed at all is kind of ridiculous, so that she's tackling it and repurposing slut whore, whatever she's calling it, to her betterment, I guess, is a good thing.
But here's my question. I thought people didn't use the word slut anymore.
What?
I mean,
You use slut, slore,
I mean,
whore,
slut just seems like it's
skank.
such an old school word. You know what I mean?
No, I feel like I hear slut all the time.
Really?
Is she a slut?
She a slut. She a
I mean, I hear
hoe.
she's a hoe. I hear, you know, whatever, but I never hear slut anymore. But I don't know.
It's out there.
It's there.
Well, if you guys want to participate, you guys can go to amberroseslutwalk.com. It will be taking place here in LA, October 3rd in Pershing Square from 12 to 5. All money raised will go to different vendors in which you can get tested for HIV and different diseases.
Positive.
Also bringing services like sexual awareness and food vendors and whatnot, and just kind of...
I guess I know why it doesn't work for me.
Why?
Because her whole, like, mantra seems to be the capitalization on her physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that doesn't mean she should be called a slut or a whore or anything else. And some would argue, like, if that's what she's got working for her, then that's how she should make her money. But it's kind of
Plenty
hard
have.
to be, I mean, and plenty have, and women have done it for years, and
Yeah.
some men. So, but at the same time, to, like, try to give me this, like, intellectualized version of what we
That's
should
what
be
I'm saying.
thinking of women when
Yeah.
your whole thing is
Your whole
making money
creation of
off
who you
your
are has been
body.
based off of that. That's exactly
just-
the credibility
It's
lessons.
hard to repurpose
But
your
they
body
say
when you sell it
exactly.
yourself.
But they say like 6,000 people have already, I think, signed up.
Well,
for
because
this.
I think there's already a movement in it. And when I saw the DC one, it kind of made me look at what Amber's doing differently, because I was like, oh, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? Because we have had that conversation before about rape, and I understand that stance on it. But at the same time, I feel like now we're taking somebody who, like you said, benefits off using their body and promoting their body in a certain type of way.
In a sexual way.
In a sexual way.
Not like, oh, I am very strong and I want to go
Right,
closet. Like,
yeah.
you are selling your sex.
You're selling ass shots. And, you know, for me, the video was kind of like threw me off because you're making a joke out of it.
Right.
Like, you have a kid talking about, Mom, did she get fucked last night? Like, here's my issue. Whatever you do, like, if you escort, if you do whatever you do, like, that's your business, that's to your own, but keep it in your bedroom. Don't put it out here so my kids can watch it. Don't put it out there so my little cousins can watch it. And that's where I get
Did you say
irritated.
escort?
Huh?
Did you say escort?
Yeah. I don't know if that's what I'm saying people.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, is there a little tea that you have
Oh,
for
no,
us
no,
right
no,
now?
no.
That
I'm
I've
not
never
saying
heard? I was
Amber
like,
Rose
okay,
escorts. I do
exclusive
not know
BHL
that.
story.
No, I do
right
not
there.
know that. I'm just saying whatever.
Okay.
I'm thinking of other situations.
Oh, okay.
Whatever your situation is, if you want orgies, Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever your deal is, keep that to yourself in your room. And I'm not judging you for it. I get upset and irritated when it is brought up and put out in the public. Like, oh, that's okay. It's okay to get fucked last night. And then my little kids, you know what I mean? Kids are hearing this and they're thinking like, oh, well, she did it. Like, that's okay. And the younger generations, younger and younger and younger. I'm telling you, I'm never going to get out of my head a 7-year-old eating a 13-year-old out. Like, and that is where I just keep on looking at this world.
You just changed my whole Thursday.
But I'm just saying, but that was a moving situation
It
for me
was.
because where is our generation? Who are they looking up to? They're looking up to people who are talking about this, and I understand there's nothing wrong with sex, but don't wash it and rub it all in our kids' faces. And it bothers me. It really irritates me because do you want your daughter, is it a daughter or son?
She has a
Yeah.
son.
She has a son.
Bash.
Do you want your son open to this? You know what I mean? And I mean, boys and girls are different. You know, if you had a daughter, would you be different? Would you be doing this slut walk the way you're doing it? I think it's interesting that you show up at the MTV Awards with an outfit that says bitch, whore, slut, but then on your website it says keep it clean. No profane or sexually offensive language on any type of clothing. No signs. If you violate, you will be asked to leave. I just look at that like...
Well, I think the whole point of the thing at the MTV Awards, if you subscribe to them actually trying to make a statement, it was a piece of performance art, which is
Right.
why it was not there to be derogatory. It was there to show us
No,
something about ourselves.
Yep.
So I understand why for the walk to not incite, because if there's a large gathering of people, like, you don't want to you want it to be peaceful, you want it to be positive, so let's leave that at home for that purpose. But at the same time, I don't know. I want to buy it, Amber. I just don't.
All right. Well, moving on from
moving
that.
on.
So Nia Long was on Twitter the other day. There's this project called the Innocence Project. So the Innocence Project was put together by Peter Newfield and Barry Sheck, both white men. Let me just state that. And basically what it is they go into prisons and they do DNA testing on people who were convicted. And it basically they're trying to promote that using DNA testing can help people who were wrongfully convicted and get them out of there. And it's been proven to work. So she was giving her support to them. And in that, she used the hashtag All Lives Matter. And Black Twitter went ham. But I gotta say, at the same time that Black Twitter went ham, there were a lot of people who were supporting it because I get the All Lives Matter versus the Black Lives Matter. I understand that.
I clearly am not allowed to comment on that because I got a lot of burn because I said something.
But you can comment on this
weeks
because
back
in your
about
context,
it.
you were wrong.
This is a different context.
I was not wrong,
and I think it took a lot of people to go to the website, which maybe that was what this was all about, because it did lead me to go to see what the Innocence Project was about. And then people started getting on Twitter and being like, well, it isn't. What she's promoting isn't for just Black lives. It actually legit is.
It actually is all
it's
lives.
for everybody,
Yeah.
anything, and just anybody who's been wrongfully accused. So what do you guys think? Are we getting out of hand with the all lives, Black lives? I mean, with this situation, what are you guys thinking? Was Nia crazy?
Go
to
ahead,
even-
Courtney.
you
No,
think,
Courtney.
Daryl?
You
Was
start
Nia
this
crazy
time.
to be using this? Did she know what she was doing?
At first, I was like, she didn't even think about it that way. She was just thinking about All Lives
All
Matter.
Lives
But
Matter.
I don't think she's that vacant. I actually think she knew what she was doing. I don't think it was a dig at the Black Lives Matter thing. I think she was just speaking to the fact that it's not just Black people that are affected by the Innocence Project and that can be freed. And that was not... They were just separate issues in her brain, and I speaking like I know what's in her brain. But what I would say that I would think that she just thought they were two separate issues altogether. Because it wasn't like it was like a person that was convicted because they promoted Black Lives Matter, and then she went and responded and said All Lives Matter. And I think that's where the issue comes in, is that people come back at Black Lives Matter when they're coming back at it with All Lives Matter. That is a dig at Black Lives Matter, as to say like, well, you missed the point. I don't think she missed the point. I don't think she whatever. And I think Twitter just went nuts, and she didn't say anything, which I was actually really impressed by. So, and the
Which
Innocence
I'm going to
Project
learn
is
to do as
amazing.
well. Courtney educated me a couple
Innocence
weeks ago
Project
and
is
told me I'm
amazing.
not allowed to say any more
I didn't
comments
say you're
on
not allowed
YouTube.
to say anything.
I won't say any more comments on YouTube
You can say
or
as much as you like,
on
Daryl.
anything, because it's better just to not say anything.
Y'all, Daryl real sensitive because some of y'all fans out there
Don't
checked
be mean
him
to
on the
Daryl.
All Lives Matter. Just so y'all know, Daryl likes Black women.
You don't have to say it every show.
We don't say it every
by
show.
the way.
He likes Black
You know, we
women.
need everyone to understand that Daryl likes him some chocolate
he
women.
likes chocolate women, and he does believe that Black Lives Matter.
Well,
In case
I
y'all
won't
were
even. I won't
worried.
even start. It's not about me right now. To answer your question, Nia. Once again, I think people missed the boat. People missed the boat because, as you were saying, Courtney, it wasn't about just
What
a
boat
Black
was
issue.
that, Daryl?
It was about
Them Black people's on
the
that
black
boat.
people. The black people's on that boat. You know, you can't get on that boat. No, I'm
That's
joking.
racist.
I am joking. And
I can't look at you the same.
you can't look at me the same way anymore, right?
Working for Uncle Tom, huh?
Yeah, Uncle Tom Coon, every name in the book.
Oh my
boy,
goodness.
this is just a funny show.
All right,
today.
go ahead.
All right, so the point that I'm making is basically, I agree with you, Courtney, is that people were missing the point. The cause of it is for all lives. It's not just Black lives.
Yeah.
So I do.
So did you just agree with Courtney because she's Black and you didn't want to agree with me as well because we both said the same statement?
You're not Black?
We're not going there. Go ahead and finish what you said.
That's okay. Clearly, you want to finish it for me, so go ahead. We'll move on to the next subject. Bam!
Oh, there's some else.
Well, on that note, guys, again, whatever your favorite TV show is, as soon as it's done, check us out at our sister site over at AfterBuzz TV. I'm going to take y'all job. On that note, Courtney, what do you have for gossip and news?
Gossip and rumors and what's going on. I kept dropping my phone. Sorry, that was the noise that was happening because my iPad isn't working. So I have to read very small print, so bear with me. Okay, so everybody was talking about this. We were talking about this earlier. The hashtag I stand with Ahmed has been trending since basically Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. For those of you that don't know, a child, a 14-year-old boy, freshman in high school by the name of Ahmed Mohamed, decided to bring in an alarm clock to school that he had made in his house because he likes to tinker and build things, and he thought it would impress his teacher. He apparently showed it to his English teacher, who immediately thought it was a bomb, notified the principal. The popos came. They arrested the little boy, dragged him up out of the school, took him downtown. He was questioned. Family wasn't present initially. When his father finally knew about it, his father came down. They said that the father wasn't allowed to talk to the little boy. Apparently, Ahmed repeatedly said, "It is a clock. It is a clock." But he was arrested because there's a stipulation that says anytime, someone brings a hoax bomb to school, obviously they can be arrested, and which is what they did, even though he repeatedly said, it's a clock. Word is that he is saying he was never saying it was a bomb or threatening or anything. The representative from the school has spoken to the media, claiming that the media has presented an unbalanced view of what happened. So supposedly there's some additional information that the media is not aware of and that they're not allowed to release until the parents sign off of it. To me, that was kind of trying to allude to Ahmed might have did something wrong type situation. So I don't know how they're going to color that, but that's what they're saying right now. The police chief also spoke to, this was in Irving, Texas, the police chief spoke to the press and said that his color and his religion and his ethnicity had absolutely nothing to do with what we did. We would have treated any other child the same way.
Or were you sensitive because it was around September 11th?
Things to think about. But either way, since all of this happened, the hashtag I stand with Ahmed trended. I believe his cousin started with the picture on Tuesday night. There's a picture of Ahmed in his little NASA t-shirt. He's so little and cute.
He is really little.
Skinny little
that's
boy.
That's how little I was when I was a freshman.
Yeah, and the picture,
Yes,
she sent the picture and had people tweet it, and then it started to trend, and people started sort of telling their stories. I stand with Ahmed and things that have happened to them, et cetera, et cetera. And it's taken on a life of its own, like to the point that it was actually even brought up at the JV GOP debate last night. Bobby Jindal got asked the question, what's the line between basically being vigilant about this Islamophobia that's going on and whether or not there's actually, people in this country that want to attack the country from within the country and being worried about that and police being vigilant about that and then straight up profiling and racism. Jindal didn't have a real answer for that, so I can't really say anything other than that. But so the question, I guess it remains for all of us, like, they thought it was a bomb, they treated this child this way, and now we're in the situation. He is saying that now he will transfer schools. He was suspended for 3 days.
I don't blame him for transferring.
And his father, his family is from the Sudan.
Yeah.
Which has also started another whole debate online and in articles about him being classified as brown in the press versus black, even though technically the Sudan is African, and the whole lines between brown and black, and would it be different if he was considered black? So that's a whole other thing. Like, there's so many layers of racialness going on in this story, but I stand with Ahmed is still trending, guys, and that's where we stand right now. The little boy is looking for a school. Oh, the White House reached out to him via Twitter and said, "Bring your clock." President Obama said,
and Facebook.
Facebook,
as well.
Mark Zuckerberg invited him to come. There's a Canadian astronaut that invited him to come on his show. This kid is taken care of in terms of his future. And
his future is good.
Getting into whatever and supporting the sciences and that kind of thing. Everybody seems to be reaching out in a positive way, but Texas ain't backing down. Like, they said, yo, we thought it was a bomb. We did what we were supposed to do.
I'm not mad at them.
I'm not mad at them
to a certain
either.
extent. Go ahead.
Well, no, what I'm going to say is this is a catch-22. We are unfortunately in a society right now where we have to be protective of things like that. You can't even go to the movie theaters now without worrying about someone doing something to you. So I'm not upset of the fact that his school could have thought that this is something that they need to investigate. The process of what happened to him, I don't agree with. A 14-year-old kid, I don't believe that he
to be
when they
arrested.
say that when they say it was not about race, it was definitely about race. If he was, I'm sorry, but if he was a Sudan or Muslim child, I don't think the process would have been handled the same way. I do not think that he would have been handcuffed and arrested. I do not believe that. So there is a race factor to that. But to be a teacher and to have him come in with a clock, and Jesse, you made a good point, I didn't even think about this, around September 11th, you do have to be weary now. And
because it was for no reason, like was it like show and tell day, or he just was like, "Hey, look what I did."
They say he wanted to impress.
He just wanted to impress his
teachers because it was the beginning of school.
He's had it for a long time. He made it out of a pencil box. Like he'd been using it for a long time, and he just wanted.
It wasn't the best decision for him, but you know what?
Wrong time. Bad
social
time.
skills may not be the best.
Yeah,
for him.
I mean he's a little bit geeky, so he probably doesn't have the wherewithal to.
But do I fault the teacher?
Yeah,
I don't.
A little bit.
I don't fault the teacher. I fault the teacher for having him arrested once again, but I don't fault the teacher for being suspicious about. She has to. You have to think about it this way. Like I come from a family of educators, and we were talking about this story, and my aunt was like, "Listen, kids do crazy stuff, and you have to be observant of that." So she said the process of what the teacher being aware that there may be a bomb is not. That's the reality that we're in right now.
Yeah.
So yes, we can turn it into race, and yes, do I think that race is part of it in the fact of him being of his racial background.
Yeah.
And what happened to him, absolutely, that played a factor to it. But I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was a teacher, I don't care what race you are. If you bring a clock in here,
and we wasn't supposed to be working on clocks that day.
I might be. You could be a little blonde white kid. I'm gonna be like,
no, that's a different type of scare.
Can we have the police come in and check this or do the little test to make sure there's no weird powder on this?
What's interesting is I'd actually be more afraid if it was a blonde white kid.
Well, actually, I would too.
I'd be afraid of any of them because here's my thing. One. Think about your teachers back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, you have a certain rapport with the teachers. The teachers watch you. They understand you. They kind of have an idea of who you are. It's interesting to me that...
Yeah, but this is the beginning of a school year. Freshman. He's a freshman. They don't know his background probably.
He did bring up in an interview saying, like, his teachers didn't know what he was capable of yet, and he was, like, so excited to show them,
he's a new
like,
kid freshman year. They don't know his background.
So they don't know him.
Yeah.
But there was also a comment made, I don't know how accurate it was, but that when he was called to the principal's office, or they took him there, the police were there, that the police officer commented, "Oh, that's who I thought it would be." Kind of alluding to the fact that, and I don't know how true that actually is, but that is out there in the universe that was said when the kid came into the office. So that was very unpleasant to see, and I understand we're on the edge of our seats because we don't know what the hell, who gonna shoot up what and blow up what whenever they're gonna do it. But the bottom line is the kid, as far as we are aware, and I can only speak to what information we've been given. When we're given more information, we can change our minds because that's what new information does. It educates you. But he at no point said anything threatening.
No.
He kept repeatedly saying that it was a clock. And if it's really an issue, why wasn't the school evacuated? They figured out what it was while he was held.
But the
like,
fact
with
that
the
he keeps
principal
saying
and
it's a clock to me doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because it gets to a point, Courtney, where it's like, okay, I could literally bring a bomb in and be like, no, it's just a clock. It's just a clock.
Right.
Well, that's fine, but that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like, evacuate the school.
But evacuate the school.
Get everybody out. Have him sequestered with the authorities. Like, I don't understand why he needed to be handcuffed and taken downtown and questioned without his parents and this whole extra thing. Like, evacuate the school, figure out what the hell it is, determine it's not a bomb, and then move on with your life.
Because to me, isn't that illegal to take a child out of school without the parents
thing that
knowing?
We haven't been able to figure out.
And then not only
looking up Texas law.
But how many times I don't know if you guys have ever had this in high school, but I mean, I've had threats happen in school before where they would find a note where it would be like, I want to kill, and then list of people.
Yeah.
That person was expelled for a week.
Ever since we went out of school after Columbine. Anybody that was in school after Columbine had those situations.
Had those same situations.
So that's why I just don't. It just seems strange to me. Like, they weren't talking about the school evacuation and all that. It seems like they just locked this kid up in handcuffs and dragged him out of school like a piece of crap and then figured out what was really going on.
Do you think that he'll sue the school or his family?
Oh, yeah. Well, they lawyered up. And I think that they're probably going to.
And he should.
As he should, yeah.
I mean, it is what. Well, you guys say he should, but should he? If you think that they reacted.
No, I think he should in the process of what was happening. I'm sure that there are different laws with schools procedures that you have to go through. I don't know what that procedure for that school is, or Texas, for example, the state of Texas. I have no idea.
They're saying they followed procedure.
Well, if that's the case, then it is what it is. But
I just don't feel
on the
like
flip
that's
side of
procedure.
that, like I said, I think that race definitely played a factor in it. I think if he was of another race, would he have gotten arrested? I don't think so.
And I also wonder if it happened later in the school year. If it would have been, I'm telling you, like, to me, it's a sensitive time, especially bringing it around that date.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even think about
it
that.
is
That's
really
a really good point. I didn't even think about
understand
that.
that he's
And-
nerdy.
And you're even
It's a
more
week later.
sensitive
Yeah.
about that. That's a good point.
I mean, I'm just coming from some ignorant teacher's point of view. But
You guys know what happened on September 11th as well, correct? On
September.
on this past September
Oh.
11th.
I
was like, wait,
is
is
that- are you
that a trick
trolling us?
question? I was like, what are you saying right now, Steve?
No, at Mecca, there were 2 cranes that
I heard that.
fell
That fell,
and
yeah.
killed about 150 people.
Yeah.
So some people were even thinking that was an act
Yeah.
of terrorism against
Right.
them. So I mean, there is some Americans who believe that they're going to retaliate now because I
Right.
think that's us.
Yeah.
Like there's
Right.
a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
Well, and they're also, that's a good point, Stephen. Stephen from the booth, if you guys are just listening to us. But another point they're saying is that there's a fear that there are so many people in America that are ready to retaliate.
Well, I'm glad you bring. Yeah, go sorry.
No. Well, go ahead. But
Well, that just brought up because I was just I can't remember what I was listening to. It was because I'm a talk radio nerd. So I was listening to something, I don't remember what it was, but they were talking about sort of the process of like how the FBI and the CIA and trying to figure out like who's a problem and how we're following people online and that kind of thing, and trying to get a profile of what these people that would actually be American citizens that are
Right.
going over there and becoming fighters in Syria and becoming fighters in whatever, and then coming back here and possibly causing problems. And one of the things they were talking about was the idea of, how we have in this country, like this idea now that we're so separate because of technology and we're not really bonded to the people around us, which we actually were just talking about earlier. And this idea that a lot of Muslims in this country are starting even more to feel like very isolated and not a part of American culture because they haven't assimilated in the way that we are maybe accustomed to assimilation happening when people come over here. And it just sparked me thinking like, he's in a target group in terms of, I don't want to just say ISIS, but that cell
And they're
over there,
younger and younger too. They're
looking for
training young people.
and this incident for him could be severely devastating.
Right.
And he's obviously brilliant and can do all this amazing stuff. And it would be so sad that positiveness in him is broken in any way because of our fear that turns him into exactly what he wasn't to begin with, and that we don't want. And
let me tell you why Ahmed's gonna be okay though. Ahmed's got Facebook and all these other people.
For now, but like at what time
he's gonna be good.
People get frustrated and tired of being like allegiant to a country that doesn't support them or think positive of them. They wonder why black people started to get violent about stuff. Is because you live in a country where you pay your taxes and you do what's supposed to be right, yet somehow you're still targeted. So there's a weird sort of psychology.
It's a weird thing, but let me tell you something though.
with.
But it's better here than it is most places.
Well, yeah, but I'm not disputing that. I don't want to go anywhere else. But I'm saying that the very thing that we're afraid of, we might also be nurturing in people.
No, you're right.
Because of our fear.
No, you're right.
And to figure out what that line is between being vigilant and just being Islamophobic and fearful and fucking it up, like how do we figure that out?
Great word, by the way.
How do you figure that out?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I get it. It's for him. It's like you look at the situation. It's like it wasn't a science fair project. It was like, boy, like you're in 9th grade. I feel like you would. I don't know. I'm trying to think of me in 9th grade, but I wouldn't have done something to that extent because I just wouldn't have cared enough. But it's like to think about the times, to think about that. I mean, there were people who would make little bombs and light them off in school, and not that they weren't going to blow anything up, but they were like,
what school did you go to? You said people, like multiples. What the hell school did you go to?
I mean, I'm just saying out backwoods, but I'm just saying people could put things together, and whether they were smoke bombs or whether they were little situations and light them off in the school, and those people would be expelled and whatever. So, I mean, to me, I can understand why there was an awareness of being scared or whatever, even with taking the race out of it. I think that it still would have been a scary situation if little Timmy had, came down, white hair, blue eyes, and with his metal box and was like, hey, I want to show you something.
I just think you can't fault people for trusting their instincts, because their instincts are what's going to save kids into school.
I agree.
The instincts, but it was just the arrest.
The arrest
was wrong. But if she had not reacted, you're right, Steve. If she had not reacted to put other kids in jeopardy, I don't know how big that school is.
Because if a kid
but
came
I'd imagine it's a high school. It's got to have at least several hundred kids in that school. You have to protect those kids versus just one.
Because if a kid had came in there with a clock and wanted to show his clock off, and it had gone off and had blown the school up, then it was like, there's not enough security, or there's not enough this. So I'm happy that someone was aware of being like, well, that looks kind of interesting.
A little suspicious.
Congratulations to your creativity, but let's just check
Let's
this
snatch
out.
this up.
And why don't you go sit in the principal's office until we get this figured out, and then we're going to bring you back to class. Now this kid's going to have this mark on him that is just like, I would be nervous for him to go into a new school. Because, you that bomb kid, you this. Think about our the younger generation.
That's why I'm like, that's my whole thing about turning him into exactly what we're afraid of. Because he's going to be a target now in his area. Everybody around that area is going to
He's going to be a target, but the fact that he has these bigger brands and corporations now on his side, I think that's going to help him, though. I think it's going to help him.
Bigger brands don't matter.
When you're 14 years
I don't know.
old and
I
you
don't
go
think
to
it
school,
does.
if you have to go to school every single day, still, like, you're not about to go to college
I'm not saying he's not going to get teased. He's going to get teased.
Are ninth graders really following Obama to see that Obama was tweeting?
But teasing is not the easy thing that we used to experience as teasing. Kids are killing themselves over being teased right now. And if he's already in an environment that they're kind of, it's Texas. They have a Muslim community in this city, but I'm guessing that they're the minority. Like, he's probably already had a mark on his back because he was Sudanese to begin with. So now I don't know.
I think it sucks, because he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
Exactly.
Right now, he's done this. If the media didn't blow it up to the proportions that it is, no one would really have known about it. If they didn't arrest him, nobody in the school would have known about it. It would have been fine. But if you really look at it, you take a kid who did something stupid. I mean, honestly, if this kid is smart enough to build that, he's smart enough to know the implications of walking into school with a briefcase that has a timer on it. He's smart enough to know better. He did it. But the problem is now that he's done this, bring something that looks potentially dangerous to a school but it ends up harmless, and now people are rewarding him for having done this. Now we have Facebook and all these huge Silicon Valley things offering him jobs. Now President Obama's inviting him. It just opens the door for more kids to be like, oh, maybe I can bring something that looks dangerous to school. He did it. It's turned out fine. It's like, I'm going to bring in a gun that's actually a calculator.
It's a catch-22.
Okay.
I'm exaggerating.
I mean, I feel you. It's a catch-22, but it's a catch-22.
Either way, it's still a very complicated question that we're going to have to answer for.
Let us know what you guys are thinking about that question, actually. We'd love to hear your comments about that.
Join that
conversation.
Do you stand with Ahmed?
Right.
All right.
What's another topic we have?
Speaking of other complicated questions. So, careers, babies, women. Conversation that we're having actually at the GOP debate again, and everywhere else. Apparently Gabrielle Union is having this conversation, and so is Tyra Banks and Chrissy Teigen. But so Gabrielle Union did an interview for Redbook this week, or a few weeks ago, coming out for October. She's on the cover, and basically she's talking about the shame that comes along with having chosen career over babies. And she's obviously married now to Dwayne Wade. I call him Dwayne Wade because that's how he spells it, even though he pronounces it Dwayne, which was very disturbing to me. Thank you. I just had to share that. Anyway, so she's 42 years old. He is 33. So they are 9 years apart, and apparently they have wanted babies.
Wait, she's how old?
She's 42, and he's 33.
He's only 33?
Yeah, he's 33.
Wow. I thought he was older than that.
No, they're 9 years apart. And so basically she has just said so far it hasn't happened for them. They wanted kids, but she made the comment and said specifically, the penance of being a career woman is barrenness. You feel like you're wearing a scarlet letter. She said, on the other side of the argument, like if you decide to go and, have your kids and try to have career at the same time you get pregnant, your career will take a hit. And quote, you can't have a bad day. Don't you dare cry at work. Don't you raise your voice, especially if you're a black woman in corporate America, because now you're also the angry black woman. So she was just and that sort of, her comments ignited conversation over social media and everywhere else about women and babies. And literally yesterday, or maybe it was, I still don't know what today is, Tuesday, Tuesday, I think, on Fab Life, which is Tyra Banks' new show. They started a conversation. Chrissy Teigen brought up the fact that she's tired of being interviewed and asked about having babies because she's okay with dealing with it, but the reality
And she's
is
younger too. Isn't she in her 20s?
She's 29 years old.
Yeah, she's in her 20s.
But
yeah.
it's brought up to her constantly because she's now been married to John Legend for 2 years. But it's offensive because she said, I'm emotionally in control, but you bring that up to the wrong woman. I'm actually having problems. We haven't been able to conceive a child, and we've been trying. And the idea that you're judging me because I don't have kids yet and asking me about it, like, you don't know what I'm going through. And that sparked Tyra into a tearful episode. And basically she expressed how she has actually been trying. For probably the last 3 years with in vitro and things like that, and she has not been able to get pregnant either.
Question with the Tyra thing: where did she do that on? Does she have her own show?
Fab Life,
Yeah, Fab Life.
There's a show.
Because I was like, I know the Tyra Banks show still ain't on.
No.
She's got a new show.
The Fab Life. It just premiered this week.
This week,
actually.
Okay, that's
and Chrissy Teigen's on the panel.
Yeah.
It's like 5 of them, and So anyway,
Is it cute? Okay.
It's all right.
Go ahead.
You
What
know,
else happened?
It's all right. But so everybody's talking about women and babies, and then of course GOP debate last night talked about the same thing. So it's in the news. Everybody's talking about it. Gossip. Do we have babies? Women. We're still being judged for whether or not we have children and get married, even in 2015.
I mean, I think it's a tough one. I mean,
Do you think the Scarlet Letter thing is real?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Because if you haven't had children, even if you haven't gotten married and you were past the age of like 35,
Yeah.
people start looking at you like,
what's wrong with you?
You don't want to get married? You don't want to have babies? I'm not past the age of 35 yet, and people are looking at me like, you don't want babies?
Right.
You don't want to get married?
And you always say you're not in a rush to get married.
Like,
And you've been with your man for a while.
but somehow something's wrong with that. It's just not something that fits into our.
But a man can be 40 and he's a
be
bachelor and he's just
65
George
and
Clooney
still
is
not married,
like
and he's
George
the
Clooney
hottest
just
thing
got
on
married at what,
earth.
50, 51,
Yeah.
52?
Yeah,
and
I mean,
nothing wrong with
And
it.
I think that they might be trying to have kids now or something like that.
possibly.
George Clooney is a star.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it biologically in terms of kids, because the reality is you can't. I mean, it can be a struggle. But it's even seen with Chrissy Teigen, she's 29 years old and she's struggling to have a baby.
Right.
And it was really
Khloe Kardashian. Look at her.
Exactly. And it was really depressing because last night on something they were talking about, it's still biologically, even though we live to like 90 now, like it's prime time to have a baby for a chick at 20 years old, between like 20 and 24.
Well, I mean, I look at my family. Most of my mom's uncles and all of them, they had their kids at 20, 21, 23, 24.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing
And we
because
keep pushing it back.
They keep pushing it back, and here's the thing that's tough with it. Like my mom had me at 19 years old, and she had me her freshman year of college. My parents were together since they were in 9th grade, but after that they got married. They got married when I was 2, and then they they got married when I was 2, and then my mom went on to have a great career. So I've seen
the opposite
side of that and see it work. And my mom's always been one who's like, I'm trying to work, I mean, my mom just turned 59 and she's literally like, trying to really just keep it going, she's like, I'm still moving and shaking and doing my thing and, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like that part of things is interesting perspective of things, because I've seen the working mom and I've seen my mom really be both sides. She's been the caretaker and she's also been the career corporate woman.
I think that's awesome, and it's a great story, and that definitely, if you are determined to do something, you can do it. You will finish your education, you will go and work, you will be whatever it is you want to be. At the same time, in 2015, college is not the price that it used to be. So to pay for your education alone is a hardship on the majority of people in this country, which is another thing we're talking about right now. But then at the same time, there were hardships that were different at that time when your mom had you. So everybody's got their thing, but the bottom line is that every time you come up to a chick and you're like, why you ain't got no kids yet? It's rude. Because you have no idea where she is, what she's going through, or what she's been through. Because she may very well be trying to have a kid at that moment and can't.
And it probably ain't none of your business.
And it's none of your business. So go Gabrielle for speaking out and expressing her truth. And we're talking about it again. as we are about to vote for another president.
Yeah.
Everybody's about to defund Planned Parenthood.
And I hope, actually, I just realized I hope
else.
my mom's not listening to this because I just added several years to her age. I just thought about that, but she.
You add several years to her
I
age?
did.
Said a shame.
Well, because I confused her with my aunt, but it's a different subject because my aunt just had a birthday. Sorry, Mom. So anyway.
All good. We'll check out Red Book and talk about Gabrielle, not Dario Kristen's mom.
Yes. All right. So we're going to move on to our final topics today. But I also, before we do that, I want to talk about DraftKings.com because we've been talking about football. Obviously, football is starting up again. I'm a big football person. But DraftKings.com is an amazing place to go and do fantasy football. And they got some great prizes, obviously.
Over $10,000
worth of prizes.
I'm sorry, $10 million.
$10 million.
Okay.
$1 million in prizes. $2 million for the first prize. $1 million for second prize. Boop.
And then you
And it's
keep
real
on
easy. You
winning.
just go to the code BLACK, and when you go to the site, and you can play as much as you want to.
DraftKings.com,
I'm really getting
code
into this whole fantasy football thing. DraftKings.com is actually helping me to kind of get my feet wet, But I don't know. Have you guys tapped the water a little bit?
Yeah, I'm afraid.
Girl, like, isn't football season
I don't know
almost
anything
over?
about
Like, I don't
football.
even know when football
Almost over? What are you talking about? It just started.
It just started. I mean, I actually know when the seasons are.
I don't.
I just don't.
I just know that the Super Bowl's in like February,
It's in
end of
February.
January, right?
Usually, it's in January, February.
I'm just waiting for the halftime
In my
show.
defense, I am not emotionally equipped to follow sports because I have hostility issues.
Okay, well, that's
And
fine.
I accept that in my life.
Well, then you should definitely play
And y'all
fantasy
don't want me
football.
angry and
Well, you-
drunk
well, you should-
yelling about a football game
And so
that
we
has
don't need
nothing
to add
do with
gambling
me.
in, so
let's
And
go to
add,
the next
add
story.
money? Oh my goodness.
Well,
but if you guys like it,
before we-
DraftKings.com, code
Black. You can remember that, Black Hollywood Black. All right, we're going to move on to the EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
We obviously have been talking about diversity a lot today, and also just race relations, and we pick a lot of subjects for that on our shows for the last couple of weeks, and just entirely.
I mean, it is Black Hollywood
It is
Live.
Black Hollywood Live, and so we have another story that is in the news that is getting a lot of burn and heat right now. Actor, filmmaker Matt Damon recently made that have been not so well received, we'll say. He is obviously a part of Project Greenlight, which is the HBO special that highlights filmmakers and gives them a lot of exposure and opportunities to kind of take their career to the next level. This is the 4th season that just happened. He always has a staff of a variety of producers and filmmakers and directors involved. Effie Brown, who is the producer for Dear White People, recently was on one of the episodes with him as part of his staff and made a suggestion about an upcoming project they have for the film, which will feature a African American woman who is a prostitute who is slapped and basically, I guess, beaten by her white pimp. So what Effie was saying is that in this storyline, we probably should make sure that we have a lot of diversity when picking the director. So what Effie had suggested was that they have an Asian man and a woman for the directing part to be sensitive to diversity. Matt apparently had some other ideas of her suggestions, and what they say is that he quickly interrupted her comment and said, "When we're talking about diversity, you do it in casting of the film, not in the casting of the show." Pretty deep. He has recently apologized in the last day, and this is what he had to say in his apology. He said, "I believe deeply that there needs to be more diverse filmmakers making movies. I love making movies. It's what I have chosen to do with my life, and I want every one of the young people watching Project Greenlight to believe that filmmaking is a viable form of
Who wrote
creative
this for him?
expression for them too."
Who wrote that?
Yeah,
he
listen,
don't
a great
even talk like
publicist.
that. What's his
He don't
PR
talk like
company's
that.
name? Can we look
Wait,
that
let me
up?
let me finish though. Let me finish. My comments were part of a much broader conversation about diversity in Hollywood and the fundamental nature of Project Greenlight, which did not make the show. He said, "I am sorry that offended people, but I am happy that it started a conversation about diversity in Hollywood."
A hero, Matt
Twitter
Damon.
went
Matt Damon
crazy.
Is a hero.
Twitter went crazy, obviously, because black people are like, "Listen, we've been talking about diversity in Hollywood. I don't know where you are, what rock you've been under. We've been talking about diversity for a long time, Matt Damon. Sorry. So you and this apology is not sincere." Now they're starting a new hashtag. Damon-splaining is trending.
Damon-splaining.
Damon-splaining.
All right, I'm gonna put.
What are your thoughts about this?
Now, Matt Damon is a Bostonian like myself, So I know that sometimes us Bostonians, we get really heated in an emotional moment, and sometimes we can say something and we mean well, but it just don't ever sound the right way. Now my thing is with this situation though,
I feel like you about to go to church up in here.
it just sounded like you've been thinking about some things for quite some time, and because for you to say that's really direct to say, when we're talking about diversity, we talk about the casting of versus the show versus casting of the project. I'm just looking at you like, what's the difference, Matt Damon? Because you want the paycheck, and I understand you probably do want the paycheck, and maybe Matt Damon is in this place of, and I can't believe I'm about to really go there, but maybe Matt Damon is in this place of white privilege where he feels like all of these Black Lives Matter and all of this stuff, he starts seeing black directors getting things over him, and he starts feeling like, well, wait a minute. This is ridiculous. I have this, this, and this. And he's feeling some sort of way about upcoming directors taking spots that maybe he could have. Well, maybe your ish ain't as good as some of these upcoming directors, Matt Damon. And that's my thing, is because that just sounded very specific. You know what I mean? Because we can all make I make stupid statements all the time.
We all do.
They're very generalized, stupid statements. That sounded very specific, and it sounded very different than your PR excuse, in which you would come out the hero, which is also very interesting to me, that your PR, that your response...
The spin is always going to be...
was a spin that you were the hero in this to start this debate, because I've seen you do so much work in this field. I don't know. It's funny because when we was looking at the topic, it said Matt Damon said some dumb ish to some girl.
That was what I
was dying because I read it and I read what he said. And I was just like, I don't even know if we're going to talk about it, but obviously we're going to talk about it because I don't even know.
Courtney.
But Matthew, stop it.
Courtney, what you think?
I mean, I'm just real sad that, like, I can't go see the new Bourne movie and be happy about it no more. Because, like...
But wait, he's not in it?
Isn't he doing the next one now?
No,
because the other dude...
Oh, he is?
Yeah, because Jeremy Renner,
Jeremy
whoever
Renner,
was doing it, whatever.
Jeremy Renner.
And I mean... And I don't want to be, like, judgy, because I tried to, like, figure out how to rationalize, because I actually really liked Matt Damon, like, as an actor or person in Hollywood.
But as an actor versus person in Hollywood.
Person in Hollywood, like, I don't know him, so, like, I don't really have any legitimate claim other than, like, I really like Jason Bourne and, like, I believed in you. But then when I heard that, and then I watched the video multiple times, because I'm like, all right, Derek, come on, like, ain't nobody that blank, like, you're not that vapid in this, like, and maybe it would have even been different if he wasn't talking to a black chick that was like,
okay. And then you saw her response. She said, "Wow." I mean, after he made the statement, she literally took a breath and said, "Wow,"
because I would have literally been the same person. Yep. Like
I would have not known how to respond.
Because the level, and then I was like, well, technically it wasn't even really English, so maybe, like, it didn't mean what we think it meant. Because he said the same thing. Because he said casting the show.
Yes, it wasn't proper.
So
I was confused at first.
Yeah,
until
I
was confused at first.
I was trying to believe that maybe he just, like, misarticulated it.
Yeah, and he got caught up in that's why he used the same word instead of show.
But then, like, when the apology came out, and then he said some crap about, he got edited wrong.
Yeah.
But you're the executive producer. Like, Project Greenlight is your shit.
And he said it wasn't, like, only parts were put on the show that he,
Don't play me with like that. Like, and I feel like the apology is what made me believe that what he actually was saying was ignorant as shit, and he meant it.
And he meant it.
Because the apology came across as bullshit to me, and now I can't go see Born Identity anymore.
Well, now I can't see The Martian, and I have a free pass for it next week, and I still am not going to go see it.
It's just lame. Like, come on. You cannot possibly... But then there are people that, just like in the rest of the world and rest of the business, that believe that, shit is what it is, and discrimination and diversity is easily attained, and it's not that bad, and whatever. So maybe he really believed it.
Listen, well, media is going crazy and Twitter's going crazy, and they're saying it's white privilege, and I have to agree with it. I was a Matt Damon fan. It does make me look at him in a different way.
I look at you real sideways now, brother.
But it goes back to the statement of what we talked about before. Do you make a statement sometimes that you don't necessarily mean? And I did think that he tried to clean it up, but after the PR part came out, I was like, he meant it. He meant it. So
and
it was
would
hard
have been better
me.
if you had been like, I kind of meant what I said,
But I didn't mean it in the context of
it
what I
does
said.
sound pretty bad
Yeah.
because diversity, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Like, don't pretend like you didn't say it or that
Right.
it got edited wrong and that's not how you really feel. Like,
Right.
Watch him hire a black.
Well, that's now.
Director.
Listen, now the director will definitely be black on Project Greenlight for sure. All right, we're gonna move on to our last story really quick, which is the leading movies right now in the box office are all with leading black actors. So really quickly, because we're running out of time, is number one is The Perfect Guy with Sanaa Lathan, Michael Ealy, and Morris Chestnut, which debuted number one with 27 million. We have the previous week, which was dominating the box office as well, War Room, which is starring Priscilla C. Shear, T.C. Stallings, and Karen Abercrombie, which earned 12.6 million. And of course, we know Straight Outta Compton, which we've been talking about, which is already. It opened up with 60.2 million. So there's
5 weeks in a row.
5 weeks in a row.
Black
Black leading
folks
actors
ruling
are changing things. And
So maybe Matt Damon was right. That's diversity. As long as they're in front of the camera.
as long as they're in front of the camera. Yeah.
Well,
and there
we
was
need him to get behind because that Perfect Guy movie, I was looking like we've seen this movie like.
Well, there was a
7, 8,
study
9,
that was just
10
done,
times.
the 2015 diversity report by UCLA's Ralph Bunche Center for African American Studies found that the top 3 talent agencies in the country are all led by white executives, are to blame for the lack of minorities on the big screen.
Well, they package the films. So they put the talent, package it, and sell them. Like, let's go.
Well, we've talked about Hollywood and changing and had a lot of talent that have been on the shows and asking them, like, has Hollywood changed with diversity? And maybe it slowly for surely is, even with ignorant statements that are made. So, all right, we're going to wrap up. Courtney, where can fans find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stuart Starlet.
Jesse, where can fans find you?
Everywhere, DJ Jesse J.
You can find me at Daryl Christian on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can find Jesse and I on WAGS Tuesday night after Buzz TV, the new E-show. That's getting a lot of buzz as
And
well.
me and Courtney on Love and Hip Hop
And Love and Hip Hop.
Hollywood
Word.
on Mondays.
Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.